Welcome everybody and welcome to my podcast, Pain. I want to talk about pain and the connection with addiction. I believe that anyone who's addicted is in pain. That's how I see it. I've always seen the pain when I looked at people who was hiding behind the bottle or the drugs or the food or the smoking or the gambling. There was always pain behind there. So I'm going to talk about hurt and pain in the aura and how that is a precursor, I think, to addiction. It's not always obvious that you're in pain. That's the thing I mostly want to say. You can be aware that you got hurt or you're in pain, but if you've blocked out the experience fairly successfully, you won't actually know you're walking around with a lot of pain in you. You will do what you have to do with your spiritual bandages of drugs and smoking and eating, etc. But you won't actually realise while you're doing it that you're actually in pain and you're hurting, and you are really hurting. It's something that most people walk around with. They don't talk about it. So there's two groups of people. There are people who know they have the pain because they have memory or they just know because they feel it. There's other people who actually don't feel the pain. I know that sounds really strange, but there's a part of them that's not accessing or having the knowledge that they're in pain. It could be because it's from abuse they blocked out or trauma they blocked out, and therefore by blocking it out, in a sense, they don't allow themselves to go to the painful place. However, when the pain comes up and gets too much, the body will automatically try and push it down, and that's why you use your addiction. I want you to stop being mean to yourself. I keep saying this, I know, but you're in pain and you're suffering, and it's torturous, some of the lives that people have led. And you're okay now, you're getting around and you're getting yourself to work and going visiting your mum or taking the dog for a walk, whatever you need to do. But at the same time, you're walking around with this huge, big bundle of pain, resolved or unresolved, acknowledged or not acknowledged. By doing this podcast, I want you to know that if you have an addiction, there's pain there. And you might go like, oh no, I can't feel anything. I don't think that's true. And I think the greater the pain is, the less sometimes you're able to access it. It's kind of like looking at a mountain really close up. You can't see it's a mountain, can you? Therefore, if you are addicted, one of the best things to do is to start to see if you can release your pain. Use the tapping, the hypnosis, the meditation, the healing, writing it out if you remember it, and just talking to your body and telling it that you know that it's in pain. Perhaps when you were in the abusive situation or the traumatic thing was happening, you shut down and you jumped out your body. We've talked about that before, and the soul will do that. It jumps out to protect itself, and then when it's finished, it jumps back in. The trouble is that the body still had the pain when someone was hitting you or you were being abused, when you were standing there in terrible fear because it was a home invasion, or the car accident when you just could see that you were going to smash into the semi-trailer. These moments are still caught by your body. Therefore, you need to look at releasing it and just trusting me when I'm telling you you're in pain, even if you can't remember or feel it. The more you work on releasing the pain, the less you will be addicted, because your addiction is correlated to your pain. The greater the pain, I think, the greater the addiction. And sometimes it's multi-layered. Perhaps you had pain with one thing, and then you had another thing, and then you had another thing, and then you had another thing, and then you had a break, and then you had another thing. So you might have layers of pain, one on top of the other, and that will actually make your addiction worse. You can tap on, there's four sort of types of pain, I think. There's physical pain, emotional pain, mental pain, and psychological pain. So you can tap on all of those if you want to, or release them as you want to. And pain and hurt kind of go together, but I actually think energetically they're a little bit different. The pain is more like a heartache, more like a terrible feeling. Being hurt can be just for a little while and then it goes away, or you can stay hurt. So when you do it, do the hurt as well. I like to do them separately. I don't tend to put them together because there's something about the quality of each which, when I look at them energetically, it's a bit different. Once you start letting go of the pain you've got and the hurt you've got in your aura, your body and your mind, once you start letting it go, you would have acknowledged it. That's the first thing. So you're like going, okay, I'm suffering. I'm actually suffering. And I want you to think of that word, you're suffering. And the next thing is that after the suffering, you have to release the pain. So do all your things to let it go. Keep letting go of the pain, let it go, let it go. Because usually it's old stuff, and the older it is, the more lodged it is in the body, and the deeper it is, the darker it is in the body. And sometimes some of your pains around your body will start to end, because a lot of pain that people have in their body, as I've done a podcast on this one, is from our emotions, from our mental body, and also from our psychological pain. So when we start to let go of those pains, maybe our knee stops hurting, or I don't know, maybe we don't get a sore throat all the time, or maybe we don't have so much stomach aches, because some of these pains are physical and are actually in the physical body, but a lot of these pains are the precursor to the physical, and they are actually in the other bodies, in the emotional and the mental and the psychological. Addiction is hard. I'm not saying it's an easy road. You've probably chosen a pretty hard road, but it is something that is a need. Addiction is a need, and you need to quell the pain, and once the pain's not there as much, you won't need to quell the pain. All you'll have to do is change some of the habits and do some replacement work on what you use to soothe yourself, to medicate yourself. And that's the other thing to remember, that, when you're in pain, we tend to find ways to medicate it. That's the first thing humans do. As soon as they feel pain, they want to take a tablet or put on an ointment or drink something to help them and soothe the pain. And that's what you're doing via your addiction. It's just not such a physical thing in a sense, but it's a reflex action that you've learned. It's a coping mechanism, but you won't need it as much. The more you work on it, the better you'll feel. That's what I believe. But it will take time, and you probably don't realise how much pain you've got. I checked someone the other day. I did a reading, and she was really hurting and was in a lot of pain. So I checked her, and she had a massive amount of emotional pain, which I released from her and let it go. And now at least she has a chance to not feel like she needs to medicate as much in the next few months. This is what you can also do for other people. If you know other people who you suspect are in pain, you can send a healing to them. Usually putting your hands out, send a healing to release the pain from them. Or you can ask your guides and their guides to release the pain. And you can also absently tap on them. We can do things to help other people who are in pain. It just takes a bit of time and just a bit of knowledge of how to do it. So I'm hoping that you can get rid of your pain and then lessen your addiction, and then change the habit and start to live a healthier and happier life, and a life where you don't have so much guilt and shame about what you're doing. I remember when I used to gobble away the biscuits out the packet, so I almost want to hide the packet, like what do I do with this packet? Because I felt shame or guilt because I was overeating, because I was upset. And we'll often try to do that as well. So you've probably got your little practices to hide your addiction from other people. I'm wishing you good luck with this. You can do it. But go to the pain and go to the hurt. That's where it really is. And if you're a person who finds to do the energy work is difficult, start journaling. Start writing about how painful it was. And then make yourself read what you've written. And you release the pain when you stand there crying and sobbing when you're trying to read it out loud. And you can choose certain people. We know who the people are who hurt us and gave us pain. We know the situations that hurt us and gave us pain. And if you haven't remembered your abuse and you have shut out the trauma, you can still do the work, because you're like bypassing your lack of memory and going straight to the source, which is the pain and the hurt. And then sometimes when we let go of the pain and the hurt, the fear also goes, and the anger, and then we will actually maybe have a few flashbacks and remember things, and then we can even process more and let it go and actually heal from it, to really heal from it. So be loving to yourself and be kind while you do this, and be gentle with yourself. You're not Mr. and Mrs. normal person walking around with super duper easy life. If you're listening to this podcast, your life's been really difficult. And you're not to judge yourself for that. You might have chosen it. It might be part of what you said you were going to do for your learning or something karmic. But whichever way it comes, you're stuck with it now. So you want to get rid of it. So I'm leaving you with this podcast, and I'm going to do the work to let it go. You can let me know how you get on. I'm on Facebook under Spiritual and Energy Work with Wendy, and on that Tumblr thing too is Wendy Eddy, and on YouTube is Spiritual and Energy Work with Wendy. And I'd like to hear how you get on, because you can recover from this. I have great faith in that. We can all heal from these things. The reason people don't heal is because they won't let it go. That's the reason we don't heal. We will not let it go. And when we won't let it go, then we end up getting illness and disease and sometimes mental instabilities and things. The trick is to let it go. So I'm wishing you lots of love and lots of healing and lots of good light.